It is not going away, Donald, and you know it's really bad for you when your top MAGA Republican pollster posts a photo showing that more people right now are interested in the Epstein files than Googling your name right now. But it's notable that people want to know your connections to the Epstein files, and what they're finding out is from the redacted 3 million files that have unlawfully been redacted and produced thus far. Your name appears 38,000 times in over 5,000 documents. In the unredacted files that the Democrats and some Republicans got to see at the Department of Justice, we now know from Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin, the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, that your name appears over 1 million times in the documents that are still not being disclosed. 1 million references. And we've seen already these references are in sick and grotesque ways. And I'll just show you right here what Democratic Congressmember Dan Goldman is posting. And it is a 2009 email from Trump's lawyers to Epstein's lawyers. And it is having some sort of discussion, and we believe that this is the discussion where Donald Trump's lawyers admit that Epstein was never actually a member of Mar-a-Lago, so he couldn't have been banned. He was always a guest, and he was always going there, so there was never a ban of Epstein. Why is this document being redacted? Why are documents and names of powerful co-conspirators being redacted by Trump's DOJ? All of the secrets are coming out, and Donald, you are not going to be able to distract from it, but you can try, right? Donald Trump had Jeanine Pirro, Donald Trump's United States attorney from the DC district, try to indict 6 Democratic lawmakers, 2 senators, and 4 Congress members in connection with the video that they made that Senator Slotkin from Michigan put together, where she's a former CIA analyst and other veterans, United States military, put a message together to our troops that you are not allowed to follow unlawful orders, right? That's a restatement of the law. But Donald Trump had Jeanine Pirro, again, the top federal prosecutor in D.C., the one from Fox, now the top federal prosecutor in D.C., tried to indict those 6 Democratic lawmakers, and the grand jury rejected the indictment. Yet again, another indictment rejected that the Trump regime is trying to force through. They say you can indict a ham sandwich, but Trump keeps on getting rejected. And just to remind you, it's Senators Kelly and Senator Slotkin, and then there's Democratic Congress members Crow, who's a former Army Ranger, Maggie Goodlander, a former Navy reservist, Chris Houlihan, a former Air Force officer, and Chris DeLuzio from Pennsylvania, a Navy veteran. And we're hearing right now from some of them after Trump's failed attempt at indicting them for seditious conspiracy. That's how big of a fascist Donald Trump is. While Donald Trump is out there covering up for the Epstein class, for which he's basically the leader of the Epstein class, right? As Howard Lutkin was testifying before the United States Senate that he indeed lied when he said that he had no further communications with Epstein after 2005 when he took one visit to Epstein, who was his neighbor's townhouse, and was so disgusted after seeing the massage table. He knew what a bad guy Epstein was. But in 2012, Lutnick admitted before the United States Senate he brought his children to the island where child sex trafficking takes place, and then he brought the children of his friends to that island as well. But according to Lutnick, he didn't see anything untoward, nothing negative to see. He doesn't even understand why it's a big deal that he brought children and that he went to Epstein's island, but he took the kids to a convicted child sex trafficker, someone who was using that island to sex traffic, although he wasn't convicted at the time of that. He was convicted of, at that time, child prostitution. Yeah, maybe you don't go to that island. Maybe that affiliation is disqualifying for you, Lutnick, to hold that position. So utterly disgusting. Senator Mark Kelly posts the following regarding the attempt to indict him. This is an outrageous abuse of power by Donald Trump and his lackeys. It wasn't enough for Pete Hegseth to censure me and threaten to demote me. Now it appears they tried to have me charged with a crime, all because of something I said that they didn't like. That's not the way things work in America. Donald Trump wants every American to be too scared to speak out against him. The most patriotic thing any of us can do is not back down. And that's what we do here at the MeidasTouch Network. We never back down. Now, here is former Army Ranger, Democratic Congressmember Jason Crow. Here's what he had to say about learning that he was the subject of an attempted indictment that failed. He said, Donald Trump's DOJ just tried and failed to indict me in front of a grand jury. We will continue to fight back against their rising tyranny. Don't give up the ship. All right, that's a great advice for all of us out there. Do not give up the ship. These Epstein class predators, these Trump regime sycophants, these sick human beings are flailing and they're panicking and they're going to get more desperate. That's why we got to keep it together and stay strong. Watch what Democratic Congressmember Jason Crow had to say. Here, play this clip.
I just found out that Donald Trump's DOJ tried and failed to indict me before a grand jury. They were trying to send a message that if you oppose them, if you step out of line, that they will crush their political enemies. But they failed and they will always fail. I went to war 3 times for this country as a paratrooper and an Army Ranger. I will never back down from my duty. But this isn't about me because they were trying to send a larger message that if Americans get out of line, if they dare oppose them, if they dare speak up and exercise their constitutional rights, that they will be crushed. But they're wrong. They think that fear is contagious. But here's the bigger lesson. Courage is also contagious. The American people are stepping up. They are rising up. They are organizing and mobilizing against this rising tyranny. We will continue to push back. The tide is turning and accountability is coming.
Now, while all of this is going on, we know that the jobs report is just absolutely horrific. Massive downward revisions, massive job losses, a major job recession that we're in right now, as Donald Trump's tariffs against the world have been an utter disaster, destroying manufacturing, destroying the lives of so many Americans. It's also notable, and I'll do another video on this in about 90 minutes, that in the House of Representatives, MAGA Mike Johnson got voted down 217-14 when he tried to put forward a rule on future pieces of legislation and future resolutions where he was going to try to ban the House of Representatives from voting on blocking Donald Trump's tariffs against the world. And MAGA Mike wanted to block it for a full year. And he wanted to slip that into something called a rule to prohibit Congress from actually utilizing its Article 1 powers, which is to regulate tariffs. And MAGA Mike wanted to prevent that. Well, that got voted down. And what we expect to happen today now and over the next coming days is I think we'll see the House pass resolutions blocking Donald Trump's tariffs against Canada and Mexico and the rest of the world. So it's been a day where Donald Trump has been loss after loss after loss. I mean, when you lose Alex Jones, you've lost your MAGA plot. Alex Jones posted, Howard Lutnick must resign for lying about his connections to Epstein, or the Trump administration must fire him now. They ain't gonna do that though, Alex Jones, because the Epstein class protects the Epstein class. And that's what this is all about. The Epstein class. Now, Donald Trump gave an interview with Larry Kudlow on state regime media, which calls itself Fox, and Donald Trump started just making up all of these numbers. Now, at a time when you know that we're in a jobs recession and things are going very bad, Donald Trump says that he sees the economy growing 15%, 20%, and he just starts making up all these numbers. I save 25,000 lives every time I kill people on fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela. 25,000 lives a ship. Just making up fake numbers. $18 trillion I've brought into the United States. Even Larry Kudlow was like, well, this was my interview with Donald Trump. I don't really understand what his numbers are, but you sure got to appreciate his optimism. We don't have to appreciate his optimism. It's not optimism. It's called fraud. And Kudlow is part of this Epstein class as well. It's a class. It's a group of people. It's people who think, that's what the class means. It's people who think they're above the law. They think that they're above it all. That's what I mean by that. And you know what? Enough is enough. Stop. Anyone who's protecting Donald Trump, I'm giving you my First Amendment opinion speech. Okay, that's what this all is. If you're protecting Donald Trump and you're coddling him like that, I believe, in my opinion, you're part of the Epstein class. That's why this is an opinion. Here's what Kudlow says. Here, play this clip.
All right, coming up, more of my interview with President Trump. You have to love his optimism. You may not agree with every number, but you have to love his optimism. Anyway, I'm Kudlow. We'll be back with President Trump in just a moment.
Now, here's Donald Trump as part of that interview saying that every boat we kill every time we kill these people on fishing boats, by the way, there's no evidence that these people have like fentanyl or anything like that. Like, we're killing like random people. Donald Trump's like, I save all these lives. Here, play this clip.
You know, by knocking out those boats, we have dropped drugs, fentanyl, about 33%. And now we're going to start on land. We had to do the boats first, because they would go immediately to the boats. If you hit them on land, they go to the boats. So we do the boats first. Now there are no boats. Now we're going to hit them on land. We're going to hit them very hard on land. We've knocked down drugs. Every one of those boats, it's nasty, but every one of those boats that shot down in the seas, you've been watching it, we saved 25,000 American lives. So we've done a great job.
And he goes, we're going to grow the economy 15%, maybe even bigger. Play this clip.
If he does the job that he's capable, we can grow at 15%. I think more than that.
Well, 15 is a big number, sir.
But Larry, you can do it. The problem is every time we used to grow at 15%. And, you know, when we were starting as a country, we were growing.
Yes.
Because we had spirit and we had the right incentives. Today we have a lot of socialism,
I
a lot
love
of communism. We have a lot of bad things.
Yes.
But there's no, look, we did 5.4 with a shutdown. Think of it.
And then he's like, every time we lower interest rates, every point is $600 billion. Okay, play this clip.
Can I just raise one point?
And all he has to do is lower interest rates. Interest rates should be lower. You know, every point is $600 billion. Think of that. $600 billion. All he has to do, if we went down 2 points, we don't have a deficit anymore. And that's without cutting. And it's just a paper charge. When you think about it, it's a paper charge. We should be the lowest interest rate in the world.
And then he talks about his ballroom, my ballroom, my ballroom. Here, play this clip.
I'm building something right now in the White House, one of the greatest ballrooms so desperately needed anywhere in the world for a fraction of what this guy's doing.
Meanwhile, he has his propagandist Caroline Leavitt saying, we're moving on from the Epstein files. We're not talking about that anymore. We're moving beyond that. We're not moving beyond that, Caroline. We just getting started, okay? Here, play this clip of Caroline Leavitt.
And that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that.
Now, I want to leave you with this, as Donald Trump, as you know, has threatened Canada to shut down the Gordie Howe Bridge, which was fully funded by Canada, and it is jointly owned by Canada and Michigan. It's a bridge that goes from Ontario to Detroit to Michigan. And the other bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, is privately owned. It's owned by a oligarch family that, you know, tries to help Donald Trump. And it's weird, right? There's a private bridge is the main way you get from Detroit to Ontario. It's kind of crazy. But it is owned by the Moron family, the Morin family. I call them the Moron family. So Trump's been threatening Canada, and it's like Canada paid for the bridge. There was a deal that was made for Canada to do that. It employed American jobs, and this will be good for America's economy. So here is how Prime Minister Carney described his call after Donald Trump's threats. Watch how Carney fact checks and play this clip.
What's happening with the Detroit bridge?
Pardon me. So the first thing to say is there's a big game today, and the president and I discussed the Canada-U.S. game, and of course we're all behind our team. Secondly, we discussed a number of issues, international issues. Thirdly, we discussed the bridge. I explained that Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada, and that in the construction of the bridge, obviously there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers that are involved. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries. Look forward to it opening. And what is particularly important, of course, is the commerce and the tourism and the voyages of Canadians and Americans that go across that bridge. So the conversation turned to a series of issues that we will raise and we're going to follow up on. I'm not going to go into detail on those issues. These would be specific issues in parallel to the CUSMA negotiations. Final point is the president asked appropriately that his ambassador, who's from Michigan, of course, play a role in smoothing the conversation in and around the bridge. So it was a positive conversation. It's a big game today.
And here is what Meidas Canada leader Charlie Angus said. Play it.
You know, Ben, a year ago when I was on CNN and they said, well, we know that you don't like Donald Trump. And I said, well, it's not that. It's like having to negotiate with Al Capone in his syphilitic period. Wow, that sure has come true. I mean, you look at the idiot rant that we've just seen. This is moron blather on high octane. So shut the Gordie Howe Bridge, Donald. Go ahead. Every day, 1,500 nurses from Canada go to help keep Detroit's healthcare system going. I personally think those nurses should be working in Canada. So shut the bridge. 150,000 jobs in the Detroit area because of the bridge. Okay, fine. We'll take those jobs back on our side. $700 billion in trade on that bridge. So you're going to what? Shake us down like you're some like the loser real estate guy from Queens, and you're going to threaten to burn our laundromat to the ground if we don't pay up? $700 billion. Think of that. So yeah, Canada fronted the money. After serious negotiations on both sides of the border, this bridge connects the economies of Ohio, Michigan, the auto sectors in Kentucky. So you want to shut that bridge unless we pay you off? Well, explain it to the people of Michigan, Donald. Go ahead. It's so ridiculous. And we always laugh when we see this Donald Trump going, China's going to stop ice hockey. If you're a Canadian and you have to call it ice hockey, you obviously don't know what you're talking about.
I'll leave you with this. Bernie Sanders, here's his take on the economy.
In terms of, I got to tell you though, I've seen that tape you just rolled. You wonder whether Trump is completely crazy and delusional or just a pathological liar. But the idea that anybody would believe that this is a great economy when 60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck, when the cost of the healthcare is going up, people can't afford housing, people can't afford their basic groceries, childcare system is dysfunctional, people can't afford to go to college. And if this is the greatest economy in the history of the world, God help us.
Let me know what you all think, everybody. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and thanks everybody for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.